Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hope you're having a great day when you get a chance to see this. I'm just on my way to work here this morning, and as always, I allow the universe to direct me on whatever talk I'm going to talk about. And I think today I want to continue to expand on just thoughts about I'd say like religion or spirituality in ancient times, just so that we can kind of get a background into these religions that we worship nowadays, or that people worship under nowadays. You know, and you got the three main religions, you know, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And then, of course, you got Hinduism also, which is one I'll probably touch on here. And ultimately, I want to say to people that I understand religion. I understand that people are seeking the truth. That's what leads people to religion. People are seeking some kind of understanding and structure to this world. They're really trying to answer questions that we all have when we're born here. You know, that's, why are we here? Where did we come from? Do I live after this? You know, past this human life? And, you know, first off, I just want to explain to you guys something, and as I always say, do your own research, see what resonates with you. But people that have OBEs and NDEs, near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences, they all basically say the same thing, that when we come to Earth, we have a soul contract that we work on. This is not a contract with the devil or something, or it's not even really a contract with God, with the Creator. It's a life plan per se that you design before you come to this realm. There's certain markers in this life, certain things that come up in this life that will challenge you, that you predetermine that you want to happen, because they say Earth is like a classroom. It's like a video game almost. I mean, I hate to use that analogy, but let's be real, people. Up until about 80 years ago, there were no such thing as a video game, you know? Then the first Pong game was invented and such, and, you know, it moved on from there. But now we have such advanced video games, we have virtual reality video games and such, that it's a good analogy to use now, because we understand how we are, even as humans in this realm, are creating virtual worlds within this realm. You could call it matrices within the matrix. And then it starts to open your mind a little more to understand that this realm could be some type of a video game or simulated reality. Well, that's why we come here. It's to learn. But part of the rules of this game are that when you come to this realm, you are born into ignorance. You are born into, you know, you are not allowed to come here consciously with the knowledge of all of your past lives and your past experiences and your past life in the other realms besides the Earth realm. And so you were born here not knowing anything and having to like figure your way out in this realm. Though it is interesting to note, folks, that typically children up to about 7 years old, roughly, give or take a few years, are still, because they came straight from the spirit realm, from the let's just call it heaven to simplify it, that they still have a resonation. They still are resonating at that frequency to a certain degree. When you come to Earth, you have to lower your frequency, your vibration. And I'm talking spiritually here, folks, because Earth is a lower dimensional realm. Once again, I have please go read Inanna's descent into the underworld. Sometimes it's called Ishtar's descent into the underworld. And no, it's not demonic, folks, but it is a analogy of your entrance into this realm, of being a high vibratory creative entity, all-powerful creative entity, but you leave your place in heaven, and as you enter this realm, you have to shed off layers of your power and your understanding. And you basically are born into this world naked. And of course, Inanna's descent is a story that is used to fill in part of the story of the resurrection of Yeshua. If you read the story, you'll see what I mean. She's dead for 3 days. She's hung on a wooden post like a cross. And that the Lord Enki, which is kind of funny because, he's the bad guy in the Christian version of the Bible, or the Judeo-Christian version of the Bible. He sends his agents down to retrieve Inanna, her body. And then his agents bring her back to life in the underworld. And then they bring her back out of the underworld, and she's resurrected. And it's kind of interesting to note that her husband was Dumuzi, known as the shepherd, the good shepherd. He was the Anuna god that was the sheepfold, the shepherd, like an animal husbandry god. And there's a lot of very interesting stories between Dumuzi and Inanna, folks. I mean, just wow. A lot of that also ties back into the Jesus Christ character. A lot of similarities, but that's for another day. We'll delve into that some other time. That was a side note for your interest there. But read Inanna's descent. It is a allegory of our descent into this lower vibrational realm. And this is the realm where our body dies. But you're resurrected back into life when you go back to your home, to the spirit realm, to heaven. So these stories have been passed down for thousands of years, folks. And there's a lot more behind this Dumuzi character. Like I said, wow, we really got to delve into that because it'll blow your mind. The similarities between Dumuzi and Jesus Christ. Just as I found with reading the Bhagavad Gita and the Krishna, the Christ, Krishna. Same thing. Major connections with Krishna and the Jesus Christ character. And folks, the reason I'm not being disrespectful to Yeshua, because Yeshua was a real mystic master teacher, ascended master. Yeshua was schooled in the mystery schools. He was schooled in the Eastern arts of Hinduism and Buddhism. He was schooled in the Gaelic, the Druidic order. He was schooled in the Egyptian and the Sumerian. He was probably the greatest teacher to ever walk the earth, folks. And Yeshua could heal with his hands. He could do miracles, yes. And Yeshua was not for organized religion, period. The churches that have been built in his name were not built by Yeshua. They were created under the character Jesus Christ, who is not the same character. what the Roman Catholic hierarchy did. Constantine, who was the Caesar, and his political hooligans, and the heads of the early church and the heads of the synagogues of the Judeans, they got together at the Council of Nicaea, which was after Yeshua and his disciples were all pretty much dead. And they created the character Jesus Christ, who was an amalgamation of Mithra, Sol Invictus, Yeshua, the true person, the mystic teacher. You had Zoroastrianism mixed in there. You had astrotheology. Once again, sun worship, Sol Invictus, and Mithra. And you also had peppers of understandings and teachings from the Cunieform, going all the way back, like I just mentioned, to Dumuzi and Inanna. And they created this character to be the figurehead for their state church, for their state religion, folks. And they incorporated the pagan holidays into the Christian church. That's where you got Christmas. Oh yeah, they gave it a great name, right? Christ Mass, right? Do the research in on it, folks. It actually ties into other pagan gods. Tammuz, for instance, is directly tied to Christmas. And of course, the winter solstice and such. They needed a figurehead for people to follow. And they came up with fantastic stories. And of course, they added in tithing and such into the New Testament because, I mean, man, how fantastic, right? You're the Caesar. You just founded a new state religion called Christianity. You guys created this amalgamation of a character. And from all these ancient religions and teachings and everything, and you balled it all up into one, rolled in pagan holidays like Easter, which is funny. Once again, Ishtar was Inanna. Inanna Ishtar. Inanna was the granddaughter of Anu. This is one thing I do find a little mix up here in the Sumerian cuneiform. I originally have read that Inanna was Enlil's daughter, but now I've actually read Cunieform Tablets that says that she was Enki's father, the serpent. So, I don't know, folks. It's really odd, all these connections here. But Ishtar was the goddess of fertility. And women would cover for the spring equinox. They would dye chicken eggs. And who knows, maybe other eggs of other fowl and such. They would dye those with their menstrual blood, and they would lay those at Inanna's altar. So, hoping for good fertility, because back then you had to have tons of children. Because typically 2 out of 3 of your children would not live past 5 years old. And so, that's what people did back then. And that's why she's called the fertility goddess. And the rabbits were always pictured in those ancient depictions because those rabbits represented high fertility rate. I mean, folks, come on. The Christian church it is so obvious that these pagan holidays were rolled into your modern Christianity. And folks, most of the New Testament was compiled well after Yeshua and his disciples had already passed away. It was written by not them, by these other people. Were there some writings from his disciples? Possibly. I mean, you even have in the Gnostic writings the secret doctrine of John. You've got the secret book of John. You've got the book of Thomas and such. They were his disciples. And then of course you had Mark and all the other ones in in the New Testament version. But once again, it was this Christianity that so many of you follow, folks, is a pagan religion. That's all it is, folks. It was created by the government of the time. And when the Roman Empire was collapsing, it handed over the scepter of rule over to the Pope, to the church. The Roman Empire never died, folks. It just changed its makeup. That's all. It became the Holy Roman Empire. And to this day, it still rules the world from the Vatican through the New World Order. The Vatican is the religious sector of the New World Order. And of course, Washington, D.C., the Pentagon, the U.S. military is the military arm of this Jesuit world order. And the city of London is the banking arm of this Jesuit New World Order. And they work with the Judeans. The Judeans control the money supply in the world. They trace back to the ancient Phoenicians, the Canaanites, and the Khazarians. They were all merchant class peoples back then. And they're still the merchant class now that puts us under debt slavery. And they still work hand in hand with this false religion that's perpetrated out of the Vatican. Now, hate me all you want, folks. Do this research yourselves, okay? But when you really, really tie all this back, it all connects back to the Anuna gods of the Cuneiform, the Akkadian, the Sumerian, the Babylonian, the Assyrian, mixed in with some Hittite and Persian. From the Persians, you get Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrians were the first religion that pushed the single God worship. And this God had the opposite, Ahriman, which was like the devil. It was a battle between light and dark. That's why they worship fire, because it represents the light, the sun, the all-consuming, what is that in the Bible? The Kodesh? I could be wrong. I could be off on that. But in the Bible, it says that God's an all-consuming fire. Folks, where do you think they got that from? The Zoroastrians. It's time that we wake up, folks. Wake up from your sleep. People that have NDEs and OBEs always say, regardless if they go in as Christians or Muslims or whatever, no matter how faithful they are, they always say that on the other side, they say there is no religion. Religion is man's attempt at conceptualizing the Creator. That is it, folks. And of course, it's used for power and control and money. It's always been that way. And I wanted to go back because I strayed really far from where I was starting to make a point earlier. Tithing, which was added into the New Testament. This was the perfect way for the state to double up on its revenue. Because now you weren't just taxing the people, but you got them to pay tithing to be a part of this new state-run church, the new state-run religion. So now you're double taxing people. And the priest class got along just well because everybody would bring their offerings. There's a reason why these priests in the Old Testament and the New Testament, they always, mostly, especially the Old Testament, they always wanted offerings, right? Bring your best lamb, bring your best goat, best cuts, the best parts and all. Well, that was all because the priest class had to eat because they didn't work, folks. Oh, well, I mean, I guess you could say they worked. They worked at manipulating people. They lived well back then, just as the priest class lives well nowadays. They don't do physical labor. They use their minds to manipulate people. And they use their religion as the tool to manipulate people with. And they get people to willingly give their money to them and gifts and such. I mean, most churches, they pay for the pastor to live. Most of your pastors make over $100,000 a year, folks. Now, I get it. There's some small town churches that the pastor may have a job because they don't, the church doesn't bring enough revenue in. But most of your cities, most of those preachers, pastors, or whatever, they live well. Trust me. I live in the Bible Belt. I'm surrounded by Southern Baptist churches and everything. And I can guarantee you that these pastors live well. Oh, yes. Nice cars, nice big houses, Amazon packages on their front doorstep every day. Oh, yeah. Their kids go to college. Their kids, they could pay for all this because these people willingly give their money to them because they think they're setting up a place for themselves in heaven. People, you come from heaven. We all come from heaven. There is no hell. If anything, you could say earth is the closest resemblance to hell that there is. It's a lower vibratory realm. We are visitors here, folks. This is not a one-way street. That's part of the fear matrix. That, oh my God, you have one chance, and if you don't worship the right God, you're going to hell. I mean, my God, I get attacked every day on Exit the Matrix with these people. But it's funny because when I bring the receipts and I show that the Bible is an adaptation off of the Sumerian, the much older text. The Sanskrit, the Hindu Vedas are much older than the Bible. And I can even show it to people. I mean, you're talking about the oldest book in the Bible, the book of Job, is the oldest original book from the Old Testament. And it's only dated around between 500 and 700 BC, folks. And it's funny because the oldest inscription of Yahweh that is found in the world is close to 1000 BC, but guess what? It says that it was depicted as Yahweh being the Canaanite storm god. He's Zeus, folks. Enlil is Yahweh, is Zeus, is not the creator of all. I don't know how many times I gotta explain this. It's not that hard to figure out, folks. And you're trying to compare the Bible, that is, the New Testament was all mostly compiled around anywhere between 100 and 300 AD. Most of the Old Testament was compiled, like I said, the oldest known book is around 700 BC, and a lot of the Old Testament was written AD, folks. So you're comparing that to cuneiform that goes back as old as 4000 BC. Do the math. You're talking about thousands of years difference in time. And people just still don't get this. It's like they believe that the Bible was written in real time. It was not written in real time, folks. The Levites weren't following, Noah around and all these other characters and writing down everything as it happened. No. Those books were written by scribes, by the Levites, hundreds of years after those events even happened. Or they were just stolen from the Sumerian cuneiform. Or stolen from the Zoroastrians. Or stolen from the Hindu Sanskrit. Or the Egyptians. It is not an original book, folks. I mean, I don't know how else to be more clear about this. And you can go vet it. Vet this stuff yourself. I want you to vet this. Because you're not going to learn until you do the work yourself. But most of you are lazy. You're just going to... It ruins your paradigm. It ruins you're afraid. You don't want to know the truth. But folks, you don't have nothing to be afraid of. The absolute truth is that we live forever. We are all powerful fractals of God. We are the children of God. You do not have to go through some test to live or die. Yes, you die in this realm. It's part of the rules. You take on a vessel, an avatar, temporarily. That's it, folks. That's all it is. It's just the human body is the spacesuit that allows you to experience this realm. But your body is not you, folks. You're a conscious energy. And when you're in the spirit realm, you manifest your body. You have a real body in the spirit realm. People that go on the other side, they say they have bodies still. They have senses, super senses. Their eyesight, they say, is almost 360-degree view. The sense of touch is way more like hardcore. You know, it's way more, a lot stronger senses. All your senses are like super, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. They're stronger than you have here in the human avatar. The human avatar greatly inhibits your spiritual abilities, and you're cut off from the knowledge of your higher self, you could call it, from your spiritual self that resides on multiple dimensions, your true consciousness. Only part of your consciousness is tapped into this human avatar. Folks, you have nothing to fear. This is just a classroom, folks. God is not sitting on a throne holding a damn book in his hand with his angels, like with trumpets all around him, and people bowing at his feet and worshiping him and saying, holy, 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 over and over, like it says in the Bible. That has never been explained that way by people that have life after death experiences. Now, they have come in contact with the source. And they say that this source is like a great light. It's like emanates pure love. And you can talk to it and it will answer all your questions. But it's not a man figure. The source is all creation, folks. And if anything, that light is probably just representative of a pinpoint of the perspective of that source. I think what happened was with a lot of these teachings was that people had, in ancient times, had some OBEs or NDEs. And they came back and they tried to explain their experiences. And these experiences got written down. And then over time, just like the game telephone, things get changed, things get adapted. And then you have a priest class that realizes, wow, we can actually like teach these things, but I can do it in a way where I don't have to work. I can wear fancy clothing and I can put on ceremonies and rituals and I can act like I'm a real hot shot here. And people will bring me food and gold and silver. Oh, I mean, I'll live high off the hog. And I get to be the ones to dictate to people what to believe and what not to believe. And it all got corrupted, folks. So, be not afraid. You are an everlasting being. There is not a God waiting to judge you. It's interesting in the Old Testament when it says, come, let us make man in our image after our likeness. Folks, those may have been highly advanced people that were in that Garden of Eden that were genetically modifying human beings, the Adam and Eve. It may have been the Atlanteans. That may have been who the Anuna were. Or they could have been entities from that other realm that came directly, not through the human avatar, but directly in spirit to this realm. Hence, where you get the teachings about the fallen angels. And they were the Anuna. They were the shining ones. They were the watchers. And it would make more sense that this prototype, this humanoid form, they say is the prototype for conscious beings in the universe. So that's what they say on the other side, that the human form is like the prototype form for entities to take on. So it would make sense that the human avatar was designed after these spiritual bodies, right? And that would make more sense that, come, let us make man in our image after our likeness. But yet it was changed in these books to say, come, to make it in God's image. No. We are not made in God's image, at least in the human avatar form. We are not. God is all creation, folks. I mean, we are not, in a spiritual sense, being fractals of that creator, that creative force. Yes, in the spiritual sense, we are made in God's image. because you're a co-creator with Source. You are an everlasting conscious energy entity. But on Earth, the human avatar was designed after the spirit body in the other realm. Does any of this make any sense to you? And I'm not trying to sound condescending to anybody, folks. If I do at times, please. I'm kind of pulling from a lot of my daily experiences. You guys don't understand. I get attacked every single day. And it's not by leftists. It's not by atheists. It's always by Christians. Always. I've had a few Muslims that come after me. But no, it's usually the Christians that attack me the most, because this information is so powerful. And I guarantee you, if you're a Christian listening to this right now, I'm not trying to change your beliefs or anything. It's up to you. You're on the hero's journey right now. I'm just trying to give you my perspective and what my theories and explain to you what I've studied and learned. But I would put a bet on the table that if you research the stuff I've researched, I think your views about this religion would change quite a bit. Now, you would still follow Yeshua, and that's fine, because Yeshua was an amazing person. But he was trying to tell us that we all are the children of God. He was trying to teach us about awakening the Christ within. He was trying to teach us that this realm is a matrix, a construct, and that it's ruled by this demiurge character. And that there is negative energy here. There's demons here and such, because this is a world of polarity. But in the higher realms, that is not present. And that's why he was trying to teach true love, because we come from a realm of love, folks, pure love. But we forget all that when we come here, and we get caught up in the pleasures of the flesh. We get caught up in the negativity of this realm, and it pulls our polarity more to, we start to lose understanding when we come here. We like I mentioned earlier, babies, they come here. A lot of times babies can see spirits and all that, and they're very loving and all that, because they are fresh from the spiritual realm. So they're still vibrating at a higher frequency. But as you age and as you become more immersed into this realm, your frequency lowers. And a lot of times children lose all those abilities. Some are lucky to keep them through life. Some humans have the ability that they've, through luck or through learning, they've reawakened those spiritual abilities. And of course, it's interesting to note that the Old Testament says those abilities are demonic. Of course they are, because the people that can see past the veil, that can speak with others on the other side, they can tell the truth about reality, about that other side and where we come from. So of course that's a threat to the ruling priest class, right? They want dumb, ignorant people that will just show up to their temples or their churches and tithe and give offerings. That's all they want, folks. They're not trying to enlighten you. Oh, they put on a big show at church, and and the pastor's like going over a couple verses, and and how that helped him in his life and what it'll do for you, and God is great, and Jesus will save you, and you don't want to go to hell. And then they sing and dance and do all this stuff. It's all a theater, folks. Did you know where the word theater comes from? It came from the Greeks. What they used to do is they would put on theaters. You would go to a auditorium, an outdoor auditorium, and you would watch on stage. They would teach you about the various Greek gods through plays and acting. That's what your pastor is doing, folks. He's putting on a play. Every Sunday you go to church, it's all an act. It's all play. It's all characters. It's time to exit the matrix, folks. I mean, we're in the matrix here, and obviously the real way you leave the matrix is when you have an OBE, an NDE, or you pass on. But waking up to this matrix, exiting it, in my opinion, is no longer falling for the lies and deception of this matrix realm. So, anyways, folks, I gotta go. I'd love to keep going into this. I hope you enjoy these conversations. If there's some other subjects you'd like me to touch upon, let me know. These are kind of my bread and butter subjects, but I do have a vast variety of things that I research and look into. So we can go down a lot of different avenues. And once again, remember, folks, reach out to me. I'm trying to raise some money to start doing some bigger productions and stuff, to start bringing on interviews. And I'm trying to build trying to turn my loft into a studio. So, but I need funds. You know how hard it is to survive right now, and I work a full-time job just like most of you do, just to survive and feed my family and such, and pay my mortgage and all that stuff. So I don't have a lot of extra money to spare to do what I need to do, but I feel it's my calling to continue to do the work I'm doing, and I can use your support. And a $25 donation to Exit the Matrix PayPal account will get you 30 minutes of my time on Zoom. We could talk about any subject. $50 will get you an hour. I've already done some of these with some other subscribers and followers, and they've been fantastic. I guarantee you, folks, that we can have amazing conversations, and you can ask me whatever you want. You can bring any subject to the table you want. And I'm an open book, and I'm a straightforward person, as you probably realize. And I would appreciate that help. All I can give you is my time. I don't have any special products to sell you or anything, but my time is valuable, and so is yours, and I hope that that's a fair exchange for your help. So anyways, I love you guys, and I will talk to you later.